Hello, artists. We are going to take a little break from what we've been doing, talking about warm and cool colors and Eric Carle and preferences, so that we can practice a little bit more collage with some tissue paper, which is what Eric Carle likes to use. We are going to use tissue paper to create a winter landscape, and here's how we're going to get started. This piece of paper is going to turn into a bunch of trees. But before we cut on these lines, I'm going to do a few things. First, I'm going to put my name on this side of my paper with all the lines on it. That way I know that this is the back of my paper. I don't want to cover my lines. Next, I'm going to flip it over. And this is the side that I'm going to collage on. I've got a whole bunch of beautiful colored papers. Some of them are even a little bit sparkly. And I also have a brush and some nori paste. Nori paste is a glue that's really good for this type of collage work. Here's how it works. I take a little bit on my brush and I spread it into a really thin layer in part of, I'm going to do like a whole bunch of my paper, because nori paste actually stays wet longer than regular glue. So I did this whole part of my paper, and I'm going to take a little break from that so that I can start adding paper. I have these little tiny pieces of tissue paper, and they just stick right down on top of the paper with the nori paste on it. So I'm using a variety of colors that I want to help make some festive trees. So I'm using some light green, some yellow, some red, some dark green, some of this green that has shimmer to it, even some blue. And I'm just pressing them down where I've already got some nori paste on my paper. My fingers are staying pretty clean, which is nice. If I get two layers, 2 for 1, I'll take that one off and put it here. All I have to do is give a little press and it sticks really nicely. So once I've got this part covered, then I would just simply repeat. I will take more paste and cover another part of my paper. Ooh, that's going to be fun right there. And keep going. It's okay to have little bits of the green paper showing through. It's also okay to have a little bit of overlapping, but we don't want too much. We want to make sure that most of each piece of paper really has a chance to touch that nori paste and stick to it so that it won't come off later. Oh, I need a different color in there. What haven't I used lately? Dark green. Let's do a little bit of dark green right there. And maybe a little red right there. All right. So now that I've filled up that whole area that I added the nori paste to, I'm going to repeat. I'm going to pick another area. I'm going to cover it with a thin coat of my nori paste, and then I'm going to set pieces of paper down on top of it. The next step in our landscape project, our collage landscape, is to get this paper ready for our collage trees. And we're going to do that by creating a sky, and then we're going to leave the earth below it white as though maybe it's been snowing. I'm going to dip my brush in some liquid watercolor, and I'm going to just start at the top of my paper and just fill in some sky. And I'm just brushing back and forth, dipping as I run out. And I like to go back and forth for my sky, but it's up to you, however you want to do it. And I wouldn't go down too far. We're going to need to leave some room for the snowy ground. Maybe you can even create a line with your paintbrush so you know where to stop and fill it in. Move that paint around. I like going horizontally because then it looks more like the sky. I don't know. That's my preference. So that's looking pretty good to me. That looks like a dark blue, beautiful winter sky. So I'm gonna set down my brush and my liquid watercolor because I'm done with them. And actually, I'm done with this piece of paper too. So what I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna set it aside and switch for this lovely piece of paper. You remember this one. I'm gonna flip it over. Now is the time. And I'm just gonna use some scissors to cut on all of the lines that I see, and that will create 5 different trees. All right, while I've been cutting, my paper is almost already dry. That's the great thing about liquid watercolors. Now, for the moment of truth, we get to, we get to see what our trees look like. So these look like beautiful, fun trees. Now it's time to glue them onto our paper. Now, in order to do this, we're going to need to do it in order so that it makes sense to the viewer. So take your 2 biggest trees and set them to the side. Then take your 2 middle trees and set them to the side. Start with your smallest tree. Flip it over. I'm going to put 3 dots. 1, 2, 3. One close to, but not completely in the corner of all 3 points. And then this tiny tree needs to be close to my horizon line. So I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to press and hold for a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Next, take out your 2 medium trees. Because these are bigger, they seem like they're a little closer to us. So we're going to put them a little further down on the page. We can't put them all the way up here because then it won't make as much sense. So I'm going to put 1 tree right here and 1 tree right there. Once again, I'm putting a dot of glue close to, but not completely in the corners. And then I flip and I press and I hold for 10. Now, I could have overlapped this over that one if I'd wanted to. That would have looked really nice too. That helps viewers understand that not only is this tree bigger and closer, but it's also overlapping that tree in the background because it is closer. All right, 1 more medium tree. Dot, dot, dot. And I'm going to put this one right about here. So this one is close to that one that I just glued a moment ago. If I don't press and hold this, it is not going to want to stay. It's going to want to curl right off. So this is really important. We don't need a lot of glue. What we need a lot of is pressure and time holding the papers together so the glue can do its job. That one's popping off a little bit, so I might take a moment just to press and hold and see if that'll do it. See, that's better already. I am down to 2 final trees. The big ones need to be close to the bottom, but I'm actually not going to have them touch the bottom of the paper. Well, I guess I could. Maybe I will. Maybe one will touch the bottom and one will not. This one's going to cover up part of that tree, and I kind of like that. Once again, it helps create some depth. I'm going to add an extra dot of glue in the middle because this is a big tree, but still just 4 dots, that's all. So I'm going to press and hold. Once again, I know you're tired of hearing me say it and watching me do it, but this is the crucial part. And watch, I'm using my hand to press down multiple trees at once. All right, and then I have one final tree that I think will go, I don't know, do I want it here? Do I want it here? Kind of like that. I'm deciding. This is an important artistic decision. I think I'm going to put it right here. It's going off the page a little bit. That's okay. So, glue one in the middle because it's a big triangle. And here we go. Pressing and holding in the middle too. I'm gonna really stretch out your fingers here to do this. All right, so my next step is to take my scraps that I have left over, and I can use these pieces to make some trunks for my trees. So I'm gonna do that next. The trunk should match the size of the tree, little, medium, and large. So now it's time to really have some fun. I have 2 different things you can use to finish your piece. The first is just punched pieces of paper, little tiny circles, and these are great up in the sky. If you just leave a little dot of glue, you can set it down right on top, give it a tiny press, and it looks like a snowflake falling from the sky. And the other thing you can do as you're doing these circles is have some of them fall in front of your trees, and that looks really cool. Really looks like it's snowing. So this takes just a little bit of time, but not too tricky. And then the last thing that you can add, if you really want to, is I do have some washable glitter glue. If this is something that you would like to add a few glittery dots with, I think it would look really nice. Just little tiny glittery dots, like far away snowflakes, shimmering. And these would even show up on the snowy part too. So there you go. 2 different ways to do snowflakes. You can do one or the other, or you can do both. And I think it's going to end up looking just absolutely remarkable. So enjoy finishing your winter collage landscape.